Good morning, Chris. Please come in and see what I've got in my workshop today.
Not the kind of thing that people normally have in their standard workshop. Look at that, how stunning.
Thank you, Chris, very much. Yes, this is a new carriage for His Majesty the King.
Now tell me, how long have you been working on this project?
On this one I've been working probably the last 6 or 7 years, Chris. As you can appreciate, everything has to be handmade, and to make something of the highest standard just takes time.
Now, have you been given writing orders, or
No.
is this your entire design?
No, this is my entire design. As you know, I've made the 2 last carriages for the British royal family. In 1988, I made Australia's gift to the Queen to commemorate our bicentenary. And in more recent times, I've made the Diamond Jubilee State Coach that Her Majesty used to use, but since her passing, of course, that was the coach that King Charles and Queen Camilla travelled from Buckingham Palace down to Westminster Abbey for their coronation.
So let's talk specifically about this project, Jim. Let's come a little bit closer. What can you tell me about the specifications of this carriage?
Well, this, as you can see, this is a brand new coach. And I should say, before we start, Chris, about the specifications, the reason why I'm making a new coach for the King is the last enclosed carriage made for a King in Britain was made before Captain Cook came to Australia. Captain Cook came here in 1770. Well, George III had a special coach made that they used to use for the coronation, and that was made, as I say, in 1761-62.
I hazard a guess to say that this will be the final enclosed coach.
I could not imagine anyone else in the world ever making another one. It's a very specialised job to make something like this. To my knowledge, no one else in the world makes these vehicles, and I'm the only one who's made them for the British royal household for at least 120 years now. And it's highly unlikely anyone is ever going to make another one like this.
Now, are we allowed to step in, or can we step on the back?
No, I should say nothing's been done on the inside as yet. The thing is, I've been concentrating on the outside, and if we look at the crown on the very top there, that's a very special crown. Throughout history, I don't think there's any crown ever been placed on any vehicle that is more special than that particular crown.
In what way?
As the Dean of Westminster Abbey, he provides the timber from Westminster Abbey that they started to build in 960.
Wow.
And you can imagine all the history in that wonderful building since that time.
You caught up with the King at the Opera House yesterday.
Yes, I did.
Were there any discussions, even briefly, about the coach?
No, there was no discussions yesterday, but His Majesty is fully aware of the coach. I send correspondence and photographs off to London, so he's right up to date with what stage we are up to.
He must be excited about it, and when will he take possession of it?
It might be at least another 2 or 3 months before we have this one fully completed. But after that, it's really up to the royal household when they'd like me to load this onto a jumbo freighter, as I've done with the last coaches, and fly it to London.
All right, we're rolling. So I'm just looking at the coat of arms on this coach. Tell me, how intricate is that artwork, and what makes it so special?
The artwork on this coach is probably some of the finest artwork on any coach ever made in history. And I'm very privileged that there is a lady here in Sydney. She was trained overseas, but Paula Church is her name, and she's the person responsible for painting these most special coats of arms. And they probably take a month to paint one of them. And the reason why these are so special, Paula can paint the eyes and the head of the lines so they appear to follow you. Much the same as the Mona Lisa.
Oh, isn't that incredible? What about taking charge of a coach like this? Those at Buckingham Palace will obviously use it for special occasions, but how many miles will it do? How many occasions will it present itself for?
Normally, say for example, the Diamond Jubilee State Coach, which is the last coach I made for Her Majesty, normally that'd be used for the opening of Parliament, and also when there's visiting heads of state that come to London, Her Majesty would meet them down Horse Guards Parade. So that's 3 times, but also there's rehearsals. So the coaches may be out probably 6 times every year, which is every couple of months.
These will be part of the new lamps, will they?
These are part of the new lamps. These have all been blown at Waterford in Ireland, of course, And actually, the King has been to see some of these being blown and engraved.
Okay, let's go over. You'll be inserting them, will you,
Yes, I will be inserting them
in the windows of the...
into the front panels of the coach.
Look at that.
If we can.
Look at that. It's virtually glass blown and engraved at the same time. Look at that. The intricacy is just superb. Wow. And so they'll come to the windows over here, and they'll come into the doors or the windows of the panels.
Yes, these are the panels. And on this particular coach, I actually have the animal symbols of England, Ireland, Scotland and Wales.
Nice.
And the botanical symbols in the smaller panels.
Exceptional detail. Just exceptional detail.
Thank you, Chris.
So tell me about these wheels. They look very, very unique.
They are very unique wheels, and I did take this idea from Rolls-Royce. And as you can visualise, as that wheel turns around, that crown stays upright.
As it does on the wheels of a Rolls-Royce.
Most certainly. And I also, the red background there, that's to do with, that's to honour all the British soldiers who've worn the scarlet uniform since about 1645.
And that wheel will last the test of how long in time?
Chris, this wheel will last for hundreds of years. A lot of engineering expertise has gone into the creating of this wheel, and it's all made of metal, and it was through the Duke of Edinburgh. He originally, has passed away, of course, but he told me years ago it'd be better if the wheels were made of metal in preference to wood, which is what all the old coaches are made from.
The last coach was simply a relic. It was a museum, a rolling museum, wasn't it?
It certainly was. Whereas this new vehicle, I have changed the theme, and these images are all portraits of the different kings and queens that have ruled England since 1066.
And this will be the central theme to the new coach?
Yes, it will.
And then the coach has this dedication to veterans who fought in war. Explain to me what these are.
Chris, these are what are known as dead man's pennies. And during, especially the First World War, there was enormous loss of life. In Britain, they lost 886,000. Here in Australia, we lost 62,000 in that particular war. Well, any man or woman that was wearing a uniform, their next of kin would be sent a dead man's penny or a dead woman's penny.
Right.
There is one for each sex, of course.
And they will be included inside the coach?
These will be especially plated and incorporated inside the coach to honour all those men and women who made the ultimate sacrifice.
And this amazing watch, tell us about that.
This amazing watch as well. We all are aware of the Great Blitz in London, of course. That wonderful city was bombed almost for 2 months continuously. And some nights, something like 700 tonnes of high explosives. Sometimes as many as 88,000 incendiaries were dropped on that beautiful city. And this watch actually belonged to the superintendent of the staff. On the 10th of May 1941, the superintendent, Captain Elliot, was killed when a bomb hit him. After he was killed, his watch was taken off. This has been passed down through members of his family, and it's been given to me to incorporate in the coach to honour all those wonderful people that have been killed in the Blitz, not only in London, but in other parts of Great Britain.
What a superb dedication, huh? What a superb dedication.
Yes.
And then in this humble workshop, what else do we expect to be above the clock and the no smoking sign but a picture of Her Majesty?
Yes, well, I was very fond of Her Majesty, and she was very kind to me over many, many years. Sometimes I used to ride with her, other times, especially in yesterday I was at the Opera House and I was very privileged to see the King. He came and shook my hand. And
how will he go in this position, do you think? What kind of a leader will he be?
I think he's doing an exceptional job. And I think the Australian people have really warmed to him. It's hard to imagine how many people were at the Opera House yesterday, but I don't know if it's 10 or 15,000 people were there. And pretty well every event that's been on, whilst they've been in Australia, there's been enormous crowds. And I think that shows the great support for him and Queen Camilla here in Australia.
And the Republicans can have their day in the sun and their press releases about becoming a republic in so many years' time. But at the end of the day, the constitutional monarchy we have, Jim, is unsurpassed.
It's unsurpassed, and I cannot think of any republic in the world where I'd like to live, and I think it'd be a great shame if Australia ever became a republic. I think we lived under the very best system of all.